Failure-Free Reading is a highly structured, non-phonic first language development program specifically designed to accelerate the vocabulary and reading comprehension of chronic non-responders. My definition of reading is 1. It's more than word attack. My definition of reading is very simple. Reading is gaining meaning from the printed page, and most importantly, reading is demonstrated by the student's ability to read with expression. Researchers have identified 3 key bodies of academic English vocabulary words that must be taught. For lack of better terms, I've put that in what I call the academic English literacy pyramid. At the base of the pyramid is the Tier 1 most common words. Midway up are the Tier 2 vocabulary-based words found in most reading programs. And at the top, or the apex, is what I call the rare or content area words. Researchers have found that the English language is highly redundant. Believe it or not, there is a core body of 2,000 of the most frequently used words in the English language, a mere 2,000. And when these 2,000 words are mastered, your students will be able to recognize 90% of all of the words they'll see in text in grades 1 through 9. A chronic non-responder is a student that basically does not respond to conventional reading interventions. The 2 most important critical reading research facts are 1, that all reading programs work, but they don't work for all students, and 2, that the brain does compensate. My research has identified 3 characteristics of chronic non-responders, and for lack of better terms, I've said that they're PD, they're ED, and they're LD. PD is still the most controversial part of my program, and it stands for the phrase phonetically deaf. And what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that students fall into one of 2 categories under the PD label. 1, there are students who are simply born with the tin ear for sounds. They don't hear a, I, and These students are having great difficulty understanding sound-symbol relationship. The second characteristic under the PD label is what I call the students who are stuck at skills. These are students who can sound words out. These are students who can apply phonetic generalizations. But when you ask them to read, they don't pause at commas, they don't stop at periods, they read with a monotone voice, and even though they get all the words right, when you ask them what they've read, they look you dead in the eye and say, "I don't know, beats me."
Okay.
ED stands for the phrase environmentally denied. My program is based on the notion that reading is relating. No student can read for meaning something they can't relate to, and far too many students are coming to school unprepared with the experiences necessary to relate. They're coming from limited English backgrounds, or they're coming from homes in which economic deprivation is the key. So they cannot relate to the content because they don't have the necessary experiences contained in that content.
Okay.
LD is the heart and soul of my program, and it stands for language deprived. No student can read for meaning above his or her language level of comprehension, and Failure Free is first and foremost a highly structured language development program. The Tier 2 words are taught through the use of our Verbal Master program. an accelerated vocabulary literacy program that teaches words in the most meaningful context. Even better, it gives you a vehicle for teaching.
Even better, it gives you.
Even better, Verbal Master allows you to reach one of the most difficult Common Core standards, and that is teaching complex text to struggling readers. Verbal Master does that. Failure Free has an abundant amount of data collected over a 30-year period. It's one thing to say that your program works. It's another thing to say that you have collected data that, when presented to independent researchers in national and international journals, they will accept that data and include it in publication. Failure Free Reading has 9 journal articles. Structure and routine is extremely important when working with students who are having academic difficulty. This is especially true for special needs students, students with autism, intellectual disabilities, behavioral emotionally handicapped. Our students do not do well in unstructured situations. Our students need structure. They need predictability. They need routine. Failure Free Reading presents its material in the most structured and predictable format, essential for success for this population. The research is clear. Text does count in the teaching of reading, and this is based on the work done by Frida Ebert and P. David Pearson. They found that there are elements that are essential for reading comprehension found in the text. Failure Free is the first intervention to control for 3 variables that have never been controlled for when dealing with this population: the need for abundant repetition, the need for appropriate sentence structure, and the need to control for understandable story content. Failure Free presents the material based on the notion of MEMC, multiple exposures and multiple contexts. Failure Free follows a systematic sequence of grammar. We start at the most basic comprehensible units of grammar and move on. Failure Free Reading is the first and only intervention to control for story content themes that prevent our students from being successful, such as multiple meaning words, idiomatic expressions, figurative speech, abundant use of pronouns, uncommon names, dates, and places. I think I said that twice. Let me do it again. Failure Free Reading is the first intervention to systematically control for content roadblocks.
Say it again.
Failure Free Reading is the first intervention to systematically control for what I call content comprehension roadblocks. Multiple meaning words, idiomatic expressions, figurative speech, uncommon names, dates, and places, abundant use of pronouns. We are the only intervention to systematically control for these roadblocks.
Okay.
No, we are the only intervention to systematically control for the elimination of these comprehension roadblocks.